No team had come into Breslin Center this season and pushed No. 1 Michigan State as hard as Maryland did in the first half Thursday night. The Terps had seemed to forget what they were up against. They seemed to forget they were down to 9 scholarship players. And after sophomore Kevin Huerter hit his third three-pointer to give his team a 1-point lead, just 7 minutes before halftime, the unthinkable at least seemed faintly possible. It was the high watermark of a 91-61 loss. The lasting image of this defeat wasn't Huerter following through with his smooth jumper but instead him holding his arm up helplessly on defense as All-American Miles Bridges hit a three-pointer in his face. Sophomore Anthony Cowan Jr. struck a similar pose after Spartans backup guard Lou Rawls Tum Tum Nairn Jr. knocked down his team's 10th three-pointer to cap a 15-0 run that effectively put the game away. Cowan just left his arm up in the air and shook his head. Players that weren't even on our scouting reports were hitting big shots for them. Cowan said, "It was difficult enough playing the country's top team on its home floor barely 48 hours after earning an emotional win over Penn State at home. Maryland arrived here at least believing it could hang with Michigan State if it slowed the pace of the game. And it did. The Terrapins hit 8 of their first 9 shots and led for much of the first half, thanks in large part to Huerter, who hit 5 of his first 6 from the field and had 14 points in the first 13 minutes. But the Spartans, 15-1, 3-0 Big Ten, took every one of Maryland's punches and answered, putting its superior depth and talent on display. The Terrapins were 10 for 16 from beyond the arc in the first half. And despite leading by 1 late in the first half, it seemed remarkable that Maryland only trailed by 12 at halftime. Michigan State shot 57% from the field and hit 16 of 28 from beyond the arc. That included 2 from forward Kenny Goins, who had never hit a three-pointer in 72 career games before Thursday. It was tough. The No. 1 team in the country shoots like that. I don't think many teams are going to beat them," Huerter said, just a week after Maryland, 13-4, 2-2, scored just 18 points in the first half in its non-conference finale against Maryland-Baltimore County. It had surpassed that mark less than 7 minutes into Thursday night's contest. Ball movement was crisp. Tempo was under control. Opportunities weren't squandered. Maryland scored 11 points off turnovers, and Cowan and Huerter combined for 23 points, doing their best to compensate for the season-ending injury of star sophomore forward Justin Jackson. But while Cowan, 26 points, and Huerter, 16 points, looked like they belonged on the same court as Michigan State's constellation, Maryland's lack of depth caught up with it by the late stages of the first half. Maryland women stay on task. Hammer No. 18 Iowa. No other player scored in double figures as the Terrapins shot 38% from the field, while Jackson's length was a glaring absence on the defensive end. Thursday was the latest example of what teams plan to do with the forward on the shelf for the rest of the year. Michigan State keyed on both Cowan and Huerter in the second half, throwing double teams their way and forcing both to speed up in half-court sets. "I think teams try to throw different guys at both me and Kevin. They're playing all type of different ways," Cowan said. Bridges knocked down a pair of threes and scored 9 of his 15 points in the first half, and Matt McQuaid knocked down back-to-back three-pointers to give the Spartans a 37-29 lead with 4:11 left in the half. By the time Nairn hit his three-pointer to extend Michigan State's run to 15-0 and its lead to 44-29 with 1:19 to go before halftime, Maryland's front court also was facing deep foul trouble. "They just kept grinding us from there. Maryland coach Mark Turgeon said. By the early stages of the second half, both freshman Bruno Fernando, 7 points, 7 rebounds, and senior Michal Sekovsky, 2 points, 1 rebound, who started practicing together as front-court starters only 4 days ago but combined for 27 points and 17 rebounds in the win over Penn State, had 3 fouls apiece as Michigan State's margin kept growing. By the 12-minute mark of the second half, Maryland's players looked gassed. It was an ominous sign for a team that still is facing the bulk of its conference schedule, which continues Sunday in College Park against Iowa. 9-8, 0-4. Not only was 6'4" freshman guard Daryl Morsell giving up 3 inches of length to Bridges, but Turgeon had no choice but to play little-used graduate transfer Sean Obi and redshirt freshman Joshua Tomaic against Michigan State's formidable frontcourt duo of Nick Ward and Jaren Jackson Jr., who feasted on the mismatches. Ward finished with 16 points and 5 rebounds, while Jackson continued to show his versatility with 15 points, which came on 5 for 6 3-point shooting. They just kept making shots, Turgeon said. Shot after shot after shot.